How's the stash?
Glorious.
That's what I'm talking about.
Live from downtown Nashville, Tennessee.
This is StacheCast. Let's go.
Welcome to our ridiculous sports show.
Hello, everyone.
It's a frat party at a golf course.
That was one hell of an intro. I enjoyed every minute of that.
Come on. Do you even want to win?
He's like running into a 12-story building.
You want to talk about a whooping on national television?
I'm not playing for the next 2 hours. Bring me some chicken.
StacheCast, baby.
Hello, this is StacheCast, presented by Nashville Stash from downtown Nashville, Tennessee. This is a big week for us, folks. We have a special guest in the house, and the story about how we met's impressive, but what's happened since then will blow your mind. I am so stoked that they are here, and we are going to waste zero time. We're going to get right into it. But before we get started, I want to introduce the host. Hey, Love, my wife, beautiful co-host, the class of the cast from Los Angeles, California. Alex Alper is with us. And from McKinney, Texas, our special guests, Avery and her father, Avery Zweig, are in the house. Let's give them a round of applause. Let's go. We are stoked that you guys are here. Thank you guys for being here. How you doing?
We're doing great. Thank you for asking, and thank you for having us on.
Absolutely. I'm noticing all the swag in the background. It looks like I see your face on one. What do we got there? Got a little world champ. What is that? Is that a best golfer ever kind of award? What do we got there?
That's from her U.S. It's her U.S. kids. She got second. How many times did you get second place?
4.
She got second place 4 times at U.S. Kids Worlds, which until you could get into USGA events, that was like the pinnacle.
Right.
So she was kind of always one shot short most of the time. And then she went when she was 12 after going to the AM the year before and didn't make the AM the next year. And then just sort of, well, can I go to US Kids? And we decided like the week before.
Yeah.
And then she won by like 8 shots. It was so funny. As soon as you don't put it on a pedestal, then
it seems 8 shots seems like a lot to win by, but I'll give you a little context. Avery Zweig, everyone, is about to be a junior in high school in McKinney, Texas. She was the youngest player in the 2022 women's amateur at Augusta at 14 years old. 15 years old, excuse me. She was 15, and not only was she the youngest in the tournament, y'all, she made the cut, finished tied 25th, y'all. This is not a joke. Over 200 plus amateur wins. Not a joke. They call her the Nugget, and it's not for all the reasons you think. It's because of a nickname that she got from her parents when she was younger. But when she steps on the tee, folks, I've seen it firsthand. When we met, she was 11 years old, and she shows up on 0 sleep, probably at 11. I don't even know if you're allowed to have coffee or Red Bull or anything. She shows up on no sleep because she just got done whipping everybody at a different tournament. And she shows up at the Golf Club of Tennessee for the USGA Women's Amateur that they held a couple of years ago, probably 3 years ago now, right? Has that been 3 in 2019?
5.
5 years. 2018.
The time flies.
It's like
it's
really
weird.
Yeah, it's really because that summer really sticks out in my head, and I haven't made it back to the women's AM, and now I'm exempt for it, which I'm sure we'll get into later. But
Absolutely.
It has gone by really fast. When you track everything by competitive seasons, it tends to speed it up a little bit too.
Yeah,
for sure. Because I watched an interview that you talked about. You've been playing since you were 2. So basically, as soon as you could walk and move around and had decent hand-eye coordination, you've had a golf club in your hand. You're like a Tigress Woods.
He could really hit the ball. Like she was a great putter. Like she could putt and make her own putts. I have video of her that it's not appropriate to show because it was before preschool, but she's wearing just her diaper and putting, looking back at me and then looking at her mom and then putting her feet together and making 3-foot putts on her little mat.
Yeah, there's a boyfriend or a husband later down the road that's going to see this diaper.
Well, the whole wedding party,
sure.
When she gets married at age 40, or 35 maybe. She can start dating when she's 25. I keep saying so.
Hey, guys, let's not let the camera fool you. Ivan is no slouch. I remember meeting him the first day, and so speaking of how I met you, it's like Ivan, you came in on, like I said, you came in the night before, and you were telling me, off air about the just basically the whirlwind that you guys had between tournaments here, and so you show up to town. And you've been her caddy. You were her caddy for most of the time in these tournaments, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, US Kids allows caddying, so I was always her caddy, which was fine when she was younger. But the older she got, it really was evident she needs, and that's why most parents are not, the caddy once they get a little older. And it's really cool now because she's totally taking ownership of her game. So back then I was her caddy, and we were all like, we literally finished the US Kids World Championship, and then they have they get on stage, and the top 5 in every flight gets to go up there. So it's like a big deal for them. Right. So she wasn't going to miss that. And then you're in Pinehurst, so there was no way we could get out that night. So we left, God knows what hour. I think it was like 5 a.m. We had to get up and go to Raleigh and then fly to Nashville. And so I think we got in at 9:30 or 10. And then we just crashed at that Quality Inn or whatever it is right across the street.
Sponsor us.
One of the, and this is not an exit that you hope to get off on with it.
No, it's not the best area. Like you have this awesome golf course, like Golf Oasis, but it's sort of, anyway,
it's in Hillbilliesville, dude.
We didn't even care. We were just like, we have to crash. And we slept for like 3 hours, and she never took naps, and she was out like a light.
Out cold.
And,
I was about at napping age though.
Yeah.
But because you're 11 years old.
Let's
focus on what we're doing at 11 years old. Like you and me, Alex, like we're 11. We're not, I played sports competitively, but at 11, like unless we'd have maybe 1 or 2 tournaments in a summer that we'd, baseball wise, maybe an AAU tournament here or there. We're not talking about on a weekly basis where we had to leave as soon as one stopped and to get to the next one. So they show up. I get a phone call from the caddy master. He's like, "Hey Nick, I got a couple of players that are going to have their parents caddy for them, but they want a little bit of local knowledge around on their practice round. Do you mind coming out and going with the group?" And I was like, "Absolutely. That sounds like perfect for me. I'd love to do that." So I get to the course, and he's like, "Okay, that's one girl. That's her dad. She's 11." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. You said this was a women's tournament?" And he goes, "Yeah, it is." And I'm like, don't they have to qualify for this tournament?" He's like, "Yeah, everybody's got to qualify to this." I said, "And you said she's 11? And he goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, "My math ain't mathing, Kelly. What are you talking about? Like, I don't understand." And so I meet her dad, Ivan, and he's like, "Yes, this is where we came in. We came in from North Carolina, and this is da 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 da." And then I get on the first tee, y'all. Smacked it. Yeah, smacked it right down the damn middle.
We started on 1. We started
on 1, and she smacked it. And I'm standing on the tee box behind everybody because I'm like, I'm a dude, right? I'm a caddy, and I see a bunch of people slap it in the woods on this hole all day. I'm just like, let's see what she's got, because I had high hopes. Let's just be honest. I had high hopes. And she smacked it down the middle. And the other 2 girls, I think one of them put it in the bunker. The other one was left of the bunker. And she's standing out there just all high and mighty out in the middle of the fairway.
Yeah, that's
and
exactly what it looks like.
I was like, that's your ball. That was your ball. That's how your ball looked. Your ball.
Yeah, the hero pose. That's the hero pose.
The ball. And I was just like, this is going to be a good day. This is going to be a good day. And she went on, and you actually, at 11, you made the cut that tournament, yes?
No, I didn't.
You're right there. You're right there.
I shot under par in the first
She
round.
shot 1 under. Yeah. She got paired with Yalimi No in the first round, who in the first 2 rounds, who just won the US girls and ran over kind of everybody. Mm-hmm. And, she's this really tall, pretty girl, 17, 18 years old. And, Avery's, up to everybody's waist, and 11, and
we have some like really awesome photos of that.
Yeah, we do. She's super nice, but she was also, I don't know if you went to any of the tournament, but she had played back to back. She won everything that whole summer, and then she wound up turning pro, and she was supposed to go to UCLA and wound up going pro because she was so good, and she's on the tour now. And it was quite an experience, But so she tied Yalimi though in the first round. They both shot one under, and I was like, what just happened? That was crazy when that happened.
Just to give a little bit of context, they're playing at the Golf Club of Tennessee, which is every year annually ranked 1 or 2 best golf courses of the state behind the honors if it's and they swap back and forth. So we're not talking about just a average country club. We're not talking about an average muni or a difficult muni. We're talking about the
awesome
best course in the state.
Yeah, it's
the
awesome.
Best course in the state, and it's all carved through natural terrain. There's no artificial landscaping, so it's one of those prettier courses. But it's not an easy course. It's gettable if you can play spot to spot, but it's not an easy course by any means. And to come in on no sleep with my half-assed knowledge of the course as their only advice, I was beyond impressed, Avery. I was beyond impressed, and I'll be honest with you. It was all that made me kind of say, okay, I got to keep an eye on her because she's going to be somebody to watch. And I'm amazed that it's been 5 years, but in the last 5 years, you're now in high school. What's the recruiting process like now versus what it's going to be like in 30 days?
Honestly, for me, I have no idea what to expect. And that's just because I've been on the scene for so long. All of these coaches have been watching me play since I was literally 11 years old. So it's not like I had one accomplishment and got this influx of like mail.
Right.
I have pretty consistent interest. A&M, actually, Texas A&M is like recruiting me really heavily, and I'm really interested there. So that'll be cool. But I'm excited. Like, I was kind of stressing about it for a while, but at this point I've just come to terms with the fact that like I know that no matter what, I need to be improving every day and always trying to get better, and the program that fits will present itself. And I want a program that actually wants me in my game and not something that I'm trying to force myself to be. But it's kind of a strange thing. It's kind of like dating a little bit, because you like want you want to like present yourself as like this excellent player and like look really, really good and be presentable, but it really just matters about what program fits you the most. It's not about like who gives you the most interest or who has the most interest.
Yeah, you said dating and your dad went.
Yeah, your dad was
I'm like, well, how do you know what dating's at? What are you talking about?
Okay, so like I actually don't. I don't.
But
really
it's not a bad analogy.
No, it's very good
It's
analogy.
actually very accurate to that.
Anything where you're trying to impress someone or something, it's very similar, and it just comes back to like, what is your identity as a player sort of rooted in? So it's a good challenge, but I'm really excited because I get to have a better idea of what my future is going to look like. But regardless, like.
When do you start receiving offers? So like, have you already gotten offers? Did you start getting offers when you were 11? Like, how does this process work?
I can't get offers.
June 15th.
June 15th is when like I'm allowed to talk to colleges. So now there's limitations on it where literally the only thing they can send me directly is like a survey or a few colleges like LSU and Georgia send me course, like they'll send this envelope just with a course thing, like selling the university,
like literature on the school, like programs.
Sure.
But they literally can't send any correspondence. A couple of them have sent handwritten notes, but they're like very, very, it's like paint by numbers. They're being very careful what they're allowed to say. It's like per the NCAA guidelines, blah, 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 blah. We can only say, but they're basically by them handwriting a letter, they're interested. And
for sure.
It only takes one. So
the handwritten ones are always the coolest for sure.
Yeah.
And because let's not forget, like she's a sophomore, just finished sophomore, you're going to be a junior. So there's a lot of stipulations with the NCAA clearinghouse and what they can do and what they can't do. And so you've got to play by those rules. But I'll promise you this, Avery, the actual letters and the actual phone calls and the actual text messages and all of that stuff is going to come in like a tidal wave. Coming in hot.
I actually have a tournament that day, so I'm like,
turn your phone off. Turn your phone off.
I turn on my phone because yeah, I
Have y'all seen Air?
That
Have y'all seen Air, the Nike movie?
No, we need to watch it.
We're gonna watch it.
You need to watch it, but
Yeah.
I imagine on June 15th, I'm sure people will be figuring out where you are and will probably try to show up. If not, Dad, there's going to be people knocking on the door on June 15th.
Yeah,
being like,
actually,
Mom, Dad. Yep.
It's funny that you're saying that because there are like some loopholes with the NCAA rules, so you're allowed to go through another party, and like A&M's recruiting me really, really hard. So yeah, that's exciting.
It feels good, right? It feels good. And
they're
you're allowed to say that it feels good because it does.
I mean,
because this is
does.
You're being pined after by absolute legendary universities that have historic programs that breed professional studs.
Yeah, but it's you get out of it what you put into it, right? So it doesn't, like if I go to A&M and I just go party, or if I go like to USC or Wake Forest having just won a national championship and I don't put anything into it, then like I'm not going to get anything out of it. And I know like there's no college that's going to be interested in me that I commit to that's going to radically change my game. Like I'm still the same player and I still have to go through the same process. That's one thing that like having succeeded has taught me. It's like people want to interview me and people are interested in hearing like my take and stories about my life and my career. And as I get older and better, like that'll only grow, but that doesn't give me anything, like I still have to go out there and I still have to practice and work harder to get better and try to achieve my goals. Like
for sure.
It's
accolades don't put the ball in the hole.
Yeah. Right. So I do this stuff and like I'll talk to colleges because I enjoy it and I want to find a program that I love, not a program that's gonna like make me look good,
Right.
So we'll see.
Well, I guess my question to you would be this: when you think about you and your game and your aspirations for beyond college and all of those things, who you want to be as a person, which kind of career you want to pursue after golf, all of these things. When you start to look at a program, what are the things about that program that jump out to you that say, hey, that's a program I want to be a part of?
That's a really excellent question. So that actually has changed a lot for me. It's really interesting because like I'm growing too, and I've kind of grown up under the microscope of like stud athlete. So that's always kind of been the norm for me, like looking at colleges, but I think culture is a really big thing for me right now. I've been fortunate. My actual golf coach, he has an academy, and just the culture there overall and how they go about their business and the energy completely shifted my game and like the trajectory I was on. So I'm looking for a culture where you're always trying to get better and improvement and trying to be great. And something else that's going to push you, but in a respectable way, not in a like too much or mean way.
A supportive way. You want to be lifted, right? High tides raise all ships kind of thing.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron. There's plenty of like idioms for that, but that's super important. And the team is super important to me because I want to try to be the best I can, but I also want to have fun. And also the university, like what they have to offer as far as major for me. So I'm not positive exactly what major I want to go into, but I want to do something like broadcast or production or media related or business.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
I'd say you're nailing it because I've watched every interview that you've done since you were 11 and you do not act like you are a teenager. Avery Zweig. I know you get told all the time. I definitely am not the first person, but I am impressed.
Wise beyond your years. Good work, Dad. How much of this was you? How much? Like, how does this start? Like, who puts their kids start playing golf? Let's get your background too. Like, I see a jersey back there. You played baseball, I imagine, like baseball with a golf club. How does this work?
Yeah. So that's. I played on Team USA. I went to Tulane. I was an All-American pitcher there, like so long ago. They didn't have color film back then, so. Yeah,
God,
but
you're almost as old as me. Go. Yeah. I love it.
I'm 50. I just turned 50, so now I'm really feeling old. But so I was a pitcher, and my parents were extremely supportive of me. I love baseball, like you guys were talking about when you were 11, and I was thinking about what I was doing, and I was either playing in a baseball game or trying to get a tennis ball baseball game going in my neighborhood.
Right. For sure.
And,
Absolutely.
I was telling her the other day when we drove in my old neighborhood, I was like, I used to hit it off that roof over there, and that would be a home run. And, she's like, what? And then I was explaining how in tennis ball, baseball, they'd throw the ball in and I could peg the runner trying to score.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Talking about. That's what I was doing.
If you did that now, though, I'm pretty sure the cops would be called.
Yeah, you'd be.
Of
Yeah,
course.
so
Of
yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was a sports nerd, and my parents were very supportive. They drove me all over the place, like I'm doing with her for golf, to the best league, which was in South Dallas. It's like 45 minutes each direction or an hour with traffic, and but that's why I was good, and I got a scholarship. And I kind of jokingly say I'm just paying for college for the last 10 years, and then she's going to get a scholarship. I mean, this is like the most expensive sport ever. It's
for sure.
You're spending almost 6 figures, believe it or not. The last couple of years, she literally has last year, I don't know, 20 something tournaments, and 2 or 3 of them were in town, and every other tournament.
Yeah.
Wow. So,
Well, you don't accumulate 200 wins with just playing every couple of months. Like, you know what I mean?
That's
like
true.
the math doesn't math. You know what I mean? Like
lot of
that's a
wins.
lot of beatdowns across a lot of counties.
Did she
and
like
a lot of
crawl
states.
out the womb and like grab a golf club? Did you put one in her
Yeah,
hand at an early
had to.
age?
She slapped
like,
him with it. She said,
so she
"Where's
thought, yeah,
where's the nursery?" Pow.
She was little, and I had I'll give you the abridged version, but I've owned my own company, an IT company, for a long time, and I had a business consultant that was advising me and said, what do you like to do, just like in your life? And I'm like, well, I like to work out, and I like to play golf. And like, well, what if I told you could play golf every day and grow your business? I said, where do I sign? And so the gist of it, there was more to it, but the gist of it was take the people to your environment. So I'd take them. Even if they weren't golfers, I'd have them meet me there for lunch. I'd be in golf clothes, and just so they're disarmed, but every time I got somebody to play golf with me, I wouldn't even talk about business, and they'd sign up for my service. At the end,
Nice.
like, oh yeah, where's that contract? If they're going to invest 5 or 6 hours in spending time with you, it's usually a pretty good thing. So long story short, she's in preschool. They're sitting Indian style around the thing. What does your dad do? What does your dad? My dad works at TPC Craig Ranch. I'm like, hey, no, I do not work at Craig Ranch. My company was called IT Works back then, and I sold it. And so I drove her by the outside of that's IT Works. So you're like, oh, but she's little and sees me wearing golf clothes every day, and I wasn't going to work, but it was, you
just were working at a golf course. You just weren't working at the golf course. Like you get,
right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
But she's like, she didn't. Yeah. That's funny. So she's seeing you do this every day, and she just took to it like a fish to water.
Yeah. So she was like, so I got her a putting mat when she's probably 2.5, and her skills were a little lacking then. I don't know why, but she's little. I'm standing over.
Okay, I can't wait. I can't wait for the future commercial. You know how they had Rory and him hitting the ball when he's in the living room. I can't wait for the home videos to come out, and it'll be her playing. And the next thing she'll be standing up next to whoever.
There's some really funny ones, and I was like, when I was about 8 and 9, I went through probably like a premature awkward stage. Like typically it's when you're 12 or 13, but for me it was when I was about 8 through 10. And oh my gosh, that's where like the Nugget moniker came about, because I was like 4 feet tall and 4 feet wide.
Do you love it or hate it?
Yes.
Do you love it or hate it?
I honestly, I don't mind it.
I love it because I call everybody who's littler than me a little nugget. And it's a term of endearment.
It is. It's sort of endearing, and there's a lot you can do with it. Like as long as it's not being used for like the wrong reasons, or people are making fun of me for it, which has never happened. I don't mind. It's just weird. Like
you're like the golden nugget.
Yeah,
there it is. Sponsor us.
to big golf courses and have like adults come up to me like, then it's some nugget. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Well,
this is-
yeah,
Funny.
it gives you some. It gives you some clout. You're like, yeah, damn right, I'm the
Yeah.
nugget. But I don't know, beat you and you and you and you.
Yeah,
And
that's
how that
exactly what
goes.
I was thinking as I was at 8. Yeah.
She
that's-
did- she
that's
did
exactly how I work.
Avery,
She did look-
Avery, listen, you can be humble with me all you want, and I appreciate that about you. But I'll tell you this: I was an athlete. I played everything. I played it all the way up. I
Still
got done in college. But when you look at another athlete in the eyes, when they're in the middle of their sport, some people got it, some people don't. You've had it since the first time I ever saw you, and I can look at you right now the way you're looking at me right now that you still got it. So I'm just saying that it's okay to say, hey, you know what? When I walk out here, I plan on beating you because I know you didn't come out here for second place.
Oh, well, yeah, I do that.
Okay,
I mean,
that's
really,
what I thought.
like,
That's what I thought.
doing this interview, thank you so much. It cut off my practice time. So I did like a 5-hole match with a few guys instead of a 9-hole match. But
So
it
you
was,
would have
like-
beat him in 5 anyway. Let's not act like it took you 6.
Well, yeah, it was.
Ah.
We did best ball, and I
If
wound
you-
up making the winning birdie.
There
So
you go. I watched your putting reel from the tournament. I guess is the Annika Invitational
yes,
that you won. And I guess
Yes.
about a year ago or so that I watched the putting reel.
2.5 years ago,
Yeah, it was-
actually.
Okay,
She was
so
still 13.
We could get you a better
Yeah.
concept of time.
yeah, well,
Serious.
YouTube said
Numbers.
that it was posted like 11 months ago. So maybe the video I saw was a
Oh,
little bit.
you probably watched one from Stacey Lewis. Was it Bent Greens?
It looked like it. You
Yeah,
nailed.
there's
You
a
hit
putting
about,
reel.
you hit
There's a
about
putting reel from Rolex last summer. That's
yeah,
what
the
it,
Rolex. That's
the
it.
putting reel. Yeah, she made putts from everywhere.
hit about a dozen 20-footer plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was bombs from everywhere. It
You
was
know,
beautiful.
it's-
I watched it 3 times, Avery.
Thank
I was
you.
like,
That was
I was
last
like,
summer.
she's left hand low. It didn't even matter. Like there's putts that even dad's like, oh, good putt. Like
Yeah.
good birdie. Like I didn't
Yeah.
expect that to go in. You had a couple
Yeah.
cliffhangers that dropped. It's impressive stuff. I'm not
Thank you.
just putting on. But what
Yeah.
I'll say is this. The most impressive thing that I read today, or actually it was yesterday. It's something that you said, and I'm going to say it back to you if you don't mind. I want to be the best player that I can be and completely maximize my ability. I want to play professional. I want to play in college, but even if that doesn't happen, the things I've learned and the people I've met through golf I will carry those things with me through life and try to remember that on the course.
I said that in the interview post Annika win. I remember distinctly saying that. Yeah.
And the thing that's written really big across the paper here is that you handle interviews like a pro. You have this wisdom beyond your years. You have all of these intangibles that we could go on and on and on and on and on about. But what about this? When you start thinking about, what you want to do, I want to play in college. I want to play in professional. But even if that doesn't happen, I'm taking all this stuff with me and I try to remember that while I'm on the course, that regardless of the outcome,
Mm-hmm.
I've got some amazing things and some amazing experiences, some amazing relationships to carry forward. When, how do you get to that place at 16? Because I wasn't there. I made it. I still may
I
not
was
be there.
actually 13 when I said that.
Oh my
13
Lord.
years old. Let's go.
Yeah, I was
Let's
13.
go. 13. Do you remember what you were doing
Yeah,
at Alex? What were you doing at 13? Let's be honest.
I
What was
mean, I
JJ
had
doing
already-
at 13?
I'd already graduated college at 13. No.
Doogie
I was like
Howser,
a
right?
normal. Yeah, I was a normal 13-year-old. No. None of those things.
None of
No,
those things.
it's really great that I have a sport because I definitely would not be getting any clout for my academic prowess. So I don't know. I guess
You're an athlete like the rest of us. That's about that way.
There it is.
She makes good grades. She's just not, the
I'm
top
not
1%,
I'm
like
not a mathlete. Math is not my strong suit.
I mean, Nick over here hasn't
Mine
done
neither.
math yet today, so there you go.
Well, to answer your question, from an honest place, I truly don't know. I've always thought through stuff, and I've always been drawn to the English language and how to articulate myself in the best way possible. And it's kind of an art form. And
Facts.
that wasn't something that I was consciously doing or being told to do. That's just how it was. And and then as I've gotten older, I've just kind of accrued more and more people that have been really good influences on me and my overall mindset and how I view the world and the sport. But to be really great at something, this is just my personal opinion, but you got to draw off of some kind of belief. And when you're great, you're at the very top. So there's two ends of the spectrum. You can have like extreme narcissism, which there's plenty of high level athletes, especially men, that are like that. And then there's, just I didn't mean that as a jab.
No, it's so true.
Again,
so true.
Y'all did say we can be
keep
comfortable
preaching.
here.
Preach, baby. Preach.
Yeah, so you can draw from extreme narcissism, or you can just be relaxed and have faith in other stuff, whether that be religion or just wisdom and understanding that it's a journey. You don't have to have it all right now. And I actually don't have a naturally suited personality or wiring to super competitive, intense golf. I'm very extroverted, and I play best when I'm sort of jovial and talking to other people. So the work that I've had to do to learn to accommodate that, and the self-awareness that I've had to practice mentally and just recently, physically, with running my own practices and making sure that I'm improving and making sure that I'm working on the right things, has been invaluable. So no matter how far golf takes me, hopefully it's as far as possible, but any career that I have, I already have such an advantage because I know what it's like to pour all of yourself into something and gauge improvement and trust the process and be an optimist and trying to get better every single day.
Well, in a funny, there you go.
Hold on, guys.
We'll give a golf clap.
I agree.
We're super excited to be on your podcast. That's incredible.
Will you please let us know when we can come back, because this is gold. Wow.
You sure you're not 26? You're 16, right?
Yeah. It's funny because I've worked with a sports psychologist since I was
11.
How old was I? 11. Yeah. And she has this thing, she thinks that I'm gonna have a talk show one day, which I would absolutely
for sure.
I'm just gonna park the golf and just turn into this generation's Oprah. Hopefully. Yeah.
Go win a few tournaments and then go do your own thing. Do whatever you want. Write your own ticket.
I have a funny two anecdotes. One is when we were leaving, we were driving home from the women's am. So I'll tell you that story. But what she was saying earlier, I think where she gets some of this is her mom and I, she has a charity. We don't need to talk about it too much. She's raised a lot of money for kids with cancer.
The Win Green campaign. We can absolutely talk about that.
Well, yeah, we kind of,
you just beat me to it.
We just kind of, she got a lot of notoriety for that along with her golf. And we kind of we're not doing that at all for notoriety. We're doing that because we're passionate. She's passionate about it. And then so we went and kind of helped facilitate it when she was younger. But anyway, when she was younger, there was this girl, Chloe Kovalevsky, who's an awesome golfer, junior golfer, and she beat Avery every single time. And I just remember Avery saying when she's 7, she's like, "Do you think I'm ever going to beat Chloe?" And I said, "Avery, I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, y'all are young. You probably will someday, but you do everything the right way. And she's a great golfer. And if people like you, you don't have to win every time to, you're learning all these life skills." And then they're kind of morphed into the charity later that summer. And I said, you're gonna, I used to make her go pitch to my friends. I already told them about it and they were gonna donate anyway, but I made her go do the sales pitch, and they'd try and trip her up with, and I'd make them look at their watch. I'd like, "You got to read their cues. You're talking too much, Avery. You got to," so I was giving her sales training and, so doing all that stuff when she's really
She's
little.
7.
Yeah.
She's like, "Dad, what the heck are you talking about?"
No, I enjoyed it. I had no idea, but that was just my life. And I have some natural gifts, but that's really been molded through experiences that I've been fortunate enough to have. But it is funny because all those people that have known me since I was actually a little nugget, I practice on my own for most of the time now because I'm out there a ton of hours and he doesn't want to be out there for 8 hours.
I don't want to be there 8 hours.
We would drive each other crazy too.
Yeah.
And like I'll go in the clubhouse and get water, and then they'll stop me and we'll like talk and stuff. And it's just really, really cool that I have this community here and people like you too that I wasn't even aware of, that have watched my career and have been rooting for me without me even being conscious of it.
Yeah, and that's the opportunity that you have. Most people don't see it as an opportunity to share positivity, and not only, you know, I want everybody to know who Avery Zweig is. That's the reason I want everybody to know who you are, but not like I told your dad before he even came on the show. I said, I know you're really, you got to be proud, but you should be, because regardless of what she does on the golf course, you're raising a heck of a young lady.
100%.
And so, you have an opportunity to, because of the platform that you have, because of the work that you put in. Yeah, you're talented. Let's not act like you didn't. God reached out and touched you, and he blessed you with some ability, but it's all the work and the hours that you put in and the diligence, and it's what you do with that gift that means something.
Yeah, honestly, I love that you say that, but it's you're sort of called to refine and build upon anything that you do and always be improving. And there was a time in my career, like this time last year, where I wasn't clear on that and like wasn't sure that golf was what I wanted to be doing. But I sort of woke up from that when I started seeing my coach, who had a really, really good impact on me. And it changed my perspective a lot. But, you know, you're just always trying to improve, and to be great at something, you have to be willing to do the things that others aren't. So it's a very small thing. And sometimes it's tough because like there aren't many people my age, my friends, or even adults that are like as dedicated to their craft as what I want to be. But I do have some mentors that are, and
good.
Because you have to see it to
you do
have a concept for what you need to do. And I'm super fortunate.
You have to have somebody there. And one of the biggest things for me was that it might be the same words that I'm hearing every single day, but it might be the different voice that's saying those words that got through to me. But one of the things that stands out about what you just said to me is that there's a bunch of people that are saying, I want to do this and I want to do that. Well, are you practicing when the coach tells you got to practice? Are you stopping running when the coach tells you got to stop practicing? Are you getting up shots if you're a basketball player? Are you at the range? Are you chipping? Are you putting? Are you doing these things when somebody else is not asking you to do them? Because there's somebody that's saying, there's somebody that's doing more than you.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that if you're just doing what the bare minimum, then you're just scraping the bottom of the barrel. And so the diligence to be self-disciplined, to put yourself out there and say, hey, this is what I got to do. This is the lane that I'm choosing. And to go out there, and I mean, your back starts hurting when you start putting for about an hour 15.
No, it's so funny
that
you say that, because the other day
getting tired.
My back actually like kind of gave out when I was done putting, and I was like,
yeah.
Okay,
you're standing like this for hours, and you just keep looking and keep looking, and eventually you're like, dang, boy, I gotta go sit down. Like this is, and there's people like me that look back on their college career and go, you know what? I did the minimum. Had a great career. Don't have any regrets. Loved every minute of it. But when coach said it was time to go home, I was at the house. Like, I was like, thank God, let me get out of here. Like, I can't wait to go sit down. Like, that was just, I was more interested in maybe going out and having some beers with the guys on a Tuesday night. I was more interested in going and seeing what this was about, or going downtown Broadway, or doing some of this kind of stuff, instead of getting the rest that I needed to do, or getting in the bed early so I could get up at 6 so I could go get treatment and work on my flexibility, or work on something else that would have helped me be a better ball player. Right. I didn't do those things. There were players that I played with that did. Those players played at another level than I did. I didn't, like I said, like, I have no regrets. But if you want to talk about going back and being realistic with yourself and saying, hey man, I left some shit on the table. I left some stuff out there. There was more in the tank I could have put out there and got more out of it. Now, I don't regret anything, and I feel like I had a really good career for what I did. But there's people like you who are wired differently.
Well, it's it's okay.
Her
You
coach lit
you
this
say-
fire under her.
yeah.
She, because there was only so much she was going to listen to me. And I was one of the ones, most of the parents were pushing when they're 8, 9, 10 for them to be out there hours and hours. I was like, no, you're going to work hard. You're going to work smart, not hard. And so we'd have these really efficient 2 to 3 hour practices at the most, unless she played holes or something. But most of the time it was 2 hours and we're done. And I just didn't want to run her into the ground. But I kept telling her, hey, when you get older, you're going to know when the time is right, and you'll be spending hours and hours and hours out there. And then as she started getting older, it's funny, as she got older, when I jokingly tell her, when she turned 15, I turned into a dumbass all of a sudden. I didn't know anything that I was doing anymore. And she was.
That's true. That's true. It happens to everybody. My question would be this, Avery, here's my question to you. Based on, like, you've practiced a lot for a lot of years. You played for a long time. The efficiency in which you practice now compared to how it was even 2 years ago, let alone 4 or 5. But when you go to the club and you have a specific plan, you might spend 2 or 3 or 4 hours there, or sometimes 8, but what the juice that you're squeezing out of those hours is probably a lot more than it used to be.
Yeah.
And that's what probably is allowing you and kind of motivating you to, because golf for me is I'm just at one tick mark every couple of rounds. I'll find something, I'll go, and I'll get a little bit better. I'll get about 0.2 on my handicap better a year. Like, I just keep
0.02, but yeah.
Yeah, shut up.
Man.
But to be able to go and say, okay, maybe I'm pulling chips left. And for you to be able to go in and spend a day and completely fix that at 16 years old blows my mind. As a guy who's got decent hand-eye coordination that plays golf on a regular basis, if I start doing something on the course, like something I was doing today, I've got to go to the think tank, break it all down, take it apart, figure it out, maybe buy a new club, get a new glove for sure, because I couldn't quite grip it right. Like,
definitely not your fault.
Right. I go through all of the things, right? I just want to get in the mind of somebody who's actually good at golf and try to think about, like, what are you practicing on a regular day? Do you have a regimen? Are you hitting odd irons on Tuesdays and evens on Wednesday? Like, what are you doing?
Honestly, I should have more regimen. Like, that's definitely an area that I could improve on. But I'm going to preface this with saying, like, a lot of the time when people look at someone who's really good at something, you assume that it's just kind of a natural thing and it just happens. Like, it's something you're given and it's either you have it or you don't. And while there is such thing as genetic gifts, like, I was built with a more athletic frame and probably have some better hand-eye coordination because he was a high-level athlete. But a lot of the awareness that I have to practice and understanding of what's going on with my game and how to structure practices just comes from experience and really world-class coaching.
Right.
And it's also just listening, but I've had people that have invested in me, and the expectation is that I invest back. So I really care about what I'm doing. And if I leave the course having spent a ton of hours out there and feel like I didn't get better, like, I'm going to go into a shame spiral, which is not recommended, but that is just
it's ill-advised, but it happens.
But it happens. Yeah.
But it's all experience. Like, I really had a difficult year last year, and because I was so good for so long, but it was a lot of it was like my dad knew what the right things were to say and the right feels to give me. And we actually had a joke that I was completely relying on my swing coach because I was. And it took me having a more difficult time to kind of uproot the whole thing and develop awareness myself so I can deal with that. And Wow. And if I want to play at a higher level, that's necessary. If I want to do anything, I have to be the one that's out there practicing. And the word my coach uses is fastidious, which is the definition of that is very attentive to and very attentive to and concerned about accuracy and detail. I had to memorize that. But yeah, but discipline has been
Fastidiously.
it's been a thing that I really have had to work on, and it's a practice. But I've actually done a lot of research on this, like as far as psychology goes, because I find that field fascinating in itself. But when you basically like wire yourself to be disciplined in all facets, it becomes easier and easier. But like the mindset and the sort of like person that I'm coming off as is a product of me choosing to listen to the right things. Like I have to be feeding my brain with like the right stuff, like champions talking, and that sort of becoming the primary voice in my head. But that's really important because you're going to become whatever you listen to, whatever influences you most. So it's not like a thing that you just, oh, I'm going to be a champion, and then all of a sudden you're just like spewing gold and winning everything. Like it's a thing that you're a craft that you're always having to practice, and no matter the amount of success that you achieve, that never really ends. So
you're saying you eat Wheaties every morning like a champion.
Yes.
There it is. Has it always been fun? Like, has it ever become work? So like Venus and Serena Williams, right? Phenoms. And for them, everyone was like, oh, their dad must have like played them so hard. And it was like they looked forward every day to go out there and play tennis. Is it the same thing for you where you're like, oh my God, I love golf and I still love golf? And even when you were super young, it was like, I get to hang out with my dad and I get to go play golf.
Definitely multifaceted answer there. But I would say generally, I like have had a multi-year stretch in my career. It's now hindsight, but where I like didn't truly love what I was doing, and I kind of lost sight of what that was like.
Sure.
And that wasn't because of anything my parents did. It was just because I had been playing golf for so long, and it was just natural ability, and I didn't fully understand the whys of how it was happening. But now it's like, I know I love what I do and I want to be the best I can at it, but like there's kind of a misconception around motivation. Like motivation is a feeling, and your feelings change. Like there are days, weeks where I'm like, I don't want to practice, I don't want to do this, like I'm not really feeling this, but I do it anyway because that's a discipline that it takes if you want to be really good at something. But in the end, like the love that you have for the sport never changes, but the feeling around it kind of does. So
yeah. Did you play other sports growing up as well, or has it just been golf the entire time?
It's soccer.
I mean, I had kind of this like theory in my head that every like American child plays soccer, does ballet, gymnastics, and volleyball, like growing up in about in no particular order, in about a 3 to 5 year span. And I did all of those, but I was never like drawn to any of them. Soccer, I'm gonna be honest, like I really wanted to be the star of the show, and I was a terrible teammate. And I was horribly because I was
I'm hearing this for the first time.
No.
There it is.
There you go.
Breaking news.
Yeah. So it's kind of a double standard because I was horribly bored and I didn't have the ball, yet I hated running. So that doesn't really work out very well. So I opted for the sport that was less aerobic. And yeah, but I like thinking back on it, I honestly like I think I just really liked being outside with golf. And
there it is.
That's why I was a pitcher. I like having the ball every time. So
yeah,
and you chose golf because you get to you and the ball. It's all there is to it. Screw these other people.
Yeah, she's like I didn't know she was the TO of the Terrell Owens of the soccer.
She is. She was like, give me the ball. She was
me.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic. She was like, give me the ball and get out of here. Yeah. So I got a couple of questions for you that just stood out to me as I went through. And one, before I forget, I want to don't let me forget to ask you. I want some details on the Win Green campaign before we shut this down. So remind me to circle back on that. But one of the cool interviews was you played in an LPGA event, and I don't know. It looked like you finished up even par, maybe one over after the round that I saw. But afterwards, you're sitting up there with Grant Boone and Judy Rankin. Yeah. And do you remember this? Do you remember this interview? Have I pulled up?
Oh yeah,
this is
awesome.
Was this a moment? Like, I want to know, like, because she's a Hall of Famer. And by the way, how old were you there? Let's just clarify that. How
I
old
was
were you?
14.
14 years old in an LPGA event. After Grant Boone asked her a couple of questions, Alex, she stops, she turns and she says, "Hey, I got a couple of things I want to thank, a couple of people I want to thank." And she turns to Judy Rankin and says, "Miss Rankin, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to ask me up here, first of all, but also all the things that you did to pave the way for girls like me." That's the first thing that she says on NBC Golf, dude, on NBC Sports.
Damn.
She gets up there and that's what she lays on him at 14 years old. I was like, let's go.
I would love to say that was all like my brain power, but I was told that was the gracious thing to do. And
so don't worry about that. Everybody's got good people in their corner giving them good advice. Let's not go, oh, well, yeah.
You're a star.
You nailed it. Cause I didn't know that. Let's be honest. I didn't know that. I assumed somebody said, "Hey, I want to thank Miss Rankin," but I didn't know that. I watched the video and literally called my wife. It was like, "Hey, you gotta watch this video. You won't believe how well she handles herself. This blows my mind. She's on NBC, right? Like, this is crazy." So
that's awesome.
So what was it like? So walk me through that. Like, was that a big moment for you, or was it one of those moments that was made big for you?
No, it was a huge moment. I was super excited because we knew that he wanted me in the booth, like regardless how I played day 2, because we had some rain. And I was super excited for that. And it was actually supposed to be after my round, the second day. So Friday, I missed the cut, but he actually had us come in Saturday to do that. And I was very nervous, but the thing is, like, I just get in those moments and I had these mental bullet points that I knew, and I didn't have anything exactly scripted.
Locked in all the time, dude.
The mental bullet points.
She's a freaking cyborg, dude.
And I'm able to expand on it really well. And it's funny because I, in that interview, like, I've been talking golf for so long, and just that's kind of been expected of me, that it wasn't anything out of the ordinary.
Sure.
And I like
the way you bounced them off on that flash interview at the Masters tournament, and you were like, "Yeah, whatever. Are we done? Okay, cool. Thanks. Bye." And you just dipped out. I was like,
she's a pro. She's a pro.
Boss. So
it's really funny though, because I've done interviews like since I was really, really little. And I recently took a speech class in the second semester of my sophomore year of high school. And I swear I was more nervous on those speeches than I've ever been.
Yep.
Like on national television. And it's so weird because I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want my peers to think I'm an idiot. Like,
you're worried about somebody busting you up at the lockers afterwards about something
that
you said. Because you're never going to see those people. It's like when I was on stage, I used to do music, and when we'd be out there, like, you don't see any faces. Like when you're out there at an interview, you're playing golf, you're doing these things, like you're hearing questions, you might recognize certain people, but you kind of get, tunnel vision on what you're here. I'm here to do a job. You're kind of listen to the question, give the answer, all right, the next thing, and you kind of move along. When you're talking in front of your classmates, that's a different deal. It's kind of like, I used to make the analogy of, like, I could play in front of 10,000 people without missing a beat, but if I have to play in front of her by herself, I'm shaking them. I'm shaking them. You know what I mean?
That's exactly how it is.
It doesn't make sense, but it's the way that it is. It's weird. It's the personal. It's I don't know, something about them being so close to it.
Yeah.
Funny anecdote. So we're in the if you've ever seen them doing the telecast.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
It's like this little trailer, like this little hovel. You're like, what is this? And it looks so grandiose from the inside, and they've got the background, and they're talking, and they literally just have like computers kind of everywhere that you can't see, and notes, and so we go in there, and there's Judy Rankin, and yes, I mentioned to her, hey, Judy Rankin is, I just had to tell her, remind her of Judy's resume, and hey, Judy Rankin, Kathy Whitworth, and a handful of 5 to 7 women, 12 or 10 or whatever it was, that they paved the way for you guys. And she go, oh, okay. And so and then she takes it to the next level and is like reading Wikipedia. I don't even think, I've used Wikipedia all the time, but she's like doing homework and reading it. And then so we get in there, and so the producer I can tell is kind of hesitant. Grant knows us, and he's like, hey, Nugget.
So he had heard me on a local sports radio station
Yeah.
called The Ticket before, so he knew that I was going to do a relatively good job of speaking.
Yeah, he knew what
Yeah,
he was
but I
doing.
don't think they expected that it was going to come out like it did. It just.
What do you think? If you're an executive or you're a producer, do you think you got some 14-year-old coming in that you're going to think this is going to be a freaking shit show?
Yeah, exactly. So the producer.
Get the bumpers up. We got to keep her reined in, Jack.
Well, we kind of had, you know, I was standing off to the side and just got to watch, but we both were kind of like deer in the headlights because they're like, there's lots of people talking to you, and it's amazing how they stay on task. And they got producers saying, camera 4, you know, and they're like getting barked at and they never get derailed. And Grant is like the epitome of a pro's pro. Like, he's so awesome on every level and so articulate and everything. So anyway, I'm like getting nervous because I'm like, she's never done, and I didn't know if it was gonna be 2 minutes, and it wound up being 9 or 10 minutes. And then it was going really well. And then then she just rolls right into color commentary. We've never once role played color commentary or anything. And she's like, oh yeah, on the 6th hole, you really want to be here and blah, blah, blah. And then, so I look over at the producer and he's kind of, we're standing in the back and he's like, he's mouthing to me. She's
like, this is awesome. Yeah, this is awesome.
How does she know this?
It was so natural. Cause I remember that she starts going, oh yeah. I was like, it was like when you have, when Rom comes on and he starts, oh yeah, the 6th hole was a little tough. If you hit it over here, you can get, these are the challenges that you got. And if you can't, you know, get it over this, you know, or tuck it over here. She went right into that. I was, again,
but there are golfers that obviously know what they're doing and they can't articulate it at all.
No,
like, you know, they're like, we did another interview and they had a Dallas Cowboy on. They were joking. The producer of that one was saying, yeah, I had to keep like pulling answers out of him. He's like, well, so blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, he's like answering with one word. And, you know, so she was, that was kind of blew everybody's doors off. It was a really cool moment. And she really played so well in that tournament. And it's kind of funny. It was a little bit similar to the story I was going to tell you from the women's AM. That was the first time she ever was worrying about making a cut. In the entire last 9 holes at the women's AM at Golf Club of Tennessee, Dad, am I going to make the cut? I said, Avery, stop talking about making the cut and let's focus on the next hole. And she was like 4 shots under the cut line and then wound up missing by 1 because she kept worrying about it. And the whole way home, we wound up flying out of Memphis. And so we drove from Nashville to Memphis the next day. And the whole way there, you know, she'd had a great summer. She had played in the U.S. Girls and was the youngest in the history to play in that and made the cut and did well and got a taste of match play. And I just told her the whole time, even at her qualifier for the women's AM and all that, this is a free roll. Like, we're on the 15th hole of her qualifier. And she goes, Dad, what if I don't make it? And I go, Avery, first of all, you're playing awesome. Second of all, it's a free roll. And she looks at me like, she doesn't know gambler's terms. What's a free roll? I said, it's in Las Vegas. It's when you got house money. I think I said house money. You're playing with house money. What is house money? Well, it's when you're up a bunch of money and you're up like $500. Right. And if you lose that $500, was that your money? Well, no, that's the house's money. So you really didn't lose anything.
You know, it's funny because I used to play my best, like, thinking that everything was a free roll, which in the end it kind of is. Like, it's all. But
true.
Now I've matured and evolved to the point where, like, I truly do love playing for something and playing to win and all of that, but that has taken the proper influence and timing and maturity. And it's just like one of those things, like, in the moment you don't think like, oh, I can't learn anything else, like this must be it. And then you get older and you realize, like, wow, there's a lot that
there's people that you're talking to that have forgotten more than you know what I mean? Like, and the humility it takes to understand that is going to take you places.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, you always have to be learning. Like, there's never a point where anyone knows everything. And then sometimes, like, you forget something and you have to learn a lesson again. And then you just keep getting better and correcting and correcting and correcting. But I mean, that's just how everything is in life. And like, golf has taught me that. And I've had other influences outside of golf that have taught me that. But it's a constant body of work, and as long as you're feeding yourself with the right things and disciplined enough to continue doing that, then who knows where you end up. But whatever I have to say, I always tell people is a product of really quality individuals around me. So
you are incredible. How old are you again? This is ridiculous.
Listen,
and wait, hold on, I got a question here.
Go ahead.
So Nick and I, when we were in sports, and I'm a talker and I wanted to play in every sport, but my athletic gifts were not so good. So I was more on the sports side. I worked in baseball and basketball and hockey and have worked in some golf tournaments and all sorts of good stuff. But when we were both around playing, and same for you, Dad, there was no such thing as NIL deals. You couldn't make money off your name, image, and likeness. And I feel like if I had that opportunity, even if I was the worst player on whatever team I was on, God knows I would have some sort of deal sponsored by this or doing whatever. Right. What is life like? What is life like now? Are you allowed to make money in high school? And like, how does this work for college? Like, do you already have an agent? Do you have 5 agents? Like, how does this work? I'm so excited that this is around and possible, but I have no idea how it all works.
So it's a very complicated answer that I'm especially not informed on completely, but
no one is.
Right now I do have some really great sponsors. So Crest Cars, they have been generous in any tournament that I'm doing. You'll see their logo on the left side of my chest. And then TPC Craig Ranch, my home course, they've been generous to accommodate us too. And I have some other ones that I'm working on, as well as Callaway and Nike. Nike gives me apparel, and Callaway gives me clubs and anything else, but I don't get paid for that. So the 2 that I get paid for are on my clothing. So I don't have an agent yet. That's something that like I need to get consistently at a higher level of play. And especially in college, if I go to a school that has a really good network of people and support for women's golf. Will Ferrell plugging it. If I go to school
there's a place in East Tennessee that's got a little fight song we like.
Justin Silverstein's going to be on your door June 15th.
Actually, so it's funny that you say that, because in ANWA 2022, I got paired with Amari Avery, and he caddied for Amari, and so
they're in the group.
Yeah,
the whole time.
Wow.
Like me, the way I made the cut too. So I was actually like putting to get in 8th place on my, what hole is that? 14 on my 14th hole of the day, and I was so nervous, and I was young, so I didn't know like how I was going to respond to that. So I hit like a few putts way past the hole. So I wound up 3-putting 3 holes in a row, and then we had to stop due to darkness. And there's actually a photo like after the 16th hole, it was dark and they called us off because we had rain. I was laying on the ground crying, and my mom was like kneeling next to me, and I totally thought it was done. Like
she wasn't falling apart, but she was tearing up, and mom was over there stroking her. You know,
she wasn't though. She was like, Avery, get up, stop. Like this isn't over. And I thought everyone around me was going to be upset with me, like I was upset with myself. But they're like, no, this is not over. Like you still have a chance. So I had to come back the next day, tee off at 7 a.m. and on a 172 yard downhill par 3, like arguably one of the hardest holes in the course. And I had to
and the pin's like up on a little knob. It's all bolts.
The next hole like wasn't quite as treacherous, 18, but it's par 5 and there's water like all down the left. So I had every opportunity to make mistakes, and I had to go par birdie, or birdie par, which is what we knew. And we were like, okay, Avery, just make par on the par 3, and then like give yourself a good birdie opportunity on par 5, and that'll be it. And I went up there, and I remember I was on the range that morning, and we didn't get a lot of range time, but I kept trying to hit the ball straight, and I was like, why am I doing this? Like there was this block that was working for me. And I knew that the club that I was hitting was probably a little bit too much if I absolutely pured it. So I actually stepped up to the tee and just tried to repeat this sort of block swing. And I like hit it slightly right of the pin and all around at a 15-footer. And then I made that. And that was really, really exciting. There are moments like that.
We're back, baby.
Yeah.
It was the most clutch thing. One of the most clutch things she's ever done, until she chipped in on the 14th hole in the 4-ball last week. But
right, yeah, I saw that.
But it was. I mean, you've got the USC coach there. You're paired with Jensen Castle and Amari Avery. She really looks up to both of them. Jensen Castle was the reigning U.S. amateur, U.S. women's AM champion, and Amari was lighting it up at USC. And so there was every moment where she could have just fallen apart and just hey, well, she's young, whatever. And she sacks up and just stuffs it on this little knob. And actually, I'll add to this. It was freezing cold that morning. And Amari gets up there. Well, actually, Jensen hits first, and Jensen literally like chunked. I don't know what she like chunked the ball
because they were both almost in the lead, and
yeah, they were way
gonna make the cut.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Why are we out here at this hour?" So like Jensen literally chunked it. Like she had probably a 40-yard pitch shot, and then Amari like pulled it and had a 20-yard pitch shot.
Yeah, and then here Avery step on up, and then Avery stuffs it to 15 feet, and then makes the putt. It was just it's on her social media somewhere, and my ridiculous narrative, like you were saying, I said something when she made the putt because it was so clutch. It was awesome. Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you, Alex asked the question about the NIL deals, and I look forward to hearing how that goes, because it's the next wave. The Tennessee High School, Tennessee High School Association here is, has passed it. It's cool. It's cool for high school athletes to be able to make money off of their NIL.
They just allow that?
Obviously. Yeah, they just allowed that.
Yeah.
And so that's a new thing. So it's a wave, and it's coming. So I love that. I have no doubt in my mind that you're going to navigate those waters with carefully, and you're going to do all the right things. But golf is one of those very highly sponsorship driven. So there's a lot of those relationships. Sure. It's a lot more for an amateur golfer to get used to the sponsorships is a lot easier than a amateur basketball player or baseball player to try to get used to it, because it's a little foreign in that space. But I have no doubt that you're going to handle that, easily. But I will ask you this one favor, if you'll do me one favor. Kristen's just getting started.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
She's just getting started. She's loving it. She's smacking it. She's having a good time. She's working on making good contact. What would be your advice to Kristen as a new golfer?
Like, people keep asking me this. I literally had a guy today on the range. Yeah, I literally had a guy today on the range like ask me just for swing tips, and I'm like, I really want to help, but I'm so out of my depth here. But for really beginners, the most fun thing and what'll help you the most is putting and short game, because putting you can see putts go in, and it's a relatively simple motion. But how you become good at putting, I've recently learned speeds, because every single
write this down.
Yeah, every single person falls into this trap of and I do this too, like way too much, of thinking that if you're missing putts, it's your stroke. And there's no perfect putting stroke. Like, you can improve it and refine it, but you're gonna miss your start line sometimes. And B, speed plays a much larger role in making putts than you would think, because the harder you hit a putt, the smaller you're making the hole. So at a high level, you try to match speed and break, but not what we're talking about here. So just putting and short game, and if you can get an instructor that you trust and that makes it fun, great. But I would say just always remember that, you're doing this for fun, and y'all play together, I'm assuming, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So enjoy the time outside and being together, because like there aren't many other things that you could be doing.
Have a good time. Enjoy it.
I started, doing it with him last year, and I do love it. I mean, I grew up and my dad always played golf. He's always belonged to the country club. So, so I've always been around it, and, I get to learn how to do it. And I'm an athlete too. I had 2 torn ACLs in high school. So, different story there, but, so it's so interesting, and I love getting to learn from you. I mean, like, again, at your age, and just how wise you are, but like beyond the years. It's crazy. So, but it's so cool to learn, about a female athlete. And, I think especially with golf, I mean, I feel like a lot of females now are really, really getting into golf at a younger age. And that's not something, back when I was younger would have been as big of a thing. And now it's really exploded. So if, you're able to do that and have that gift, and then continue to, continue with your craft and master that, it's incredible. So I love getting to learn from you, and you're a huge inspiration to me as like a new beginner, but also all to the young girls coming up, just as you had those influences for you, so
Thank
I-
you. Yeah.
you're an incredible role model.
I appreciate that. I do
Yeah.
my best. It is kind of weird though. Like I'll go to golf events, or I'll have like these like little girls come up to me and they really look up to me, and like I don't know, it's just because I still think of myself as like a kid or that kid. But that's kind of part of it.
Yeah, you are. Don't age too fast though, enjoy
Yeah.
it.
Like you never really want to think of yourself as the one people are looking at and want to be. It just kind of happens, but you always just try to lead by example. That's at least what I've been taught.
Yeah. You keep putting one foot in front of the other the way you've been doing it, and following that voice inside of you that says this is the right way to do things. And, you're going to be just fine. You're going to be just fine. And I absolutely cannot wait to continue to watch you grow into the player and the person and all of the things that you're going to become. I want everybody to make sure that they take 30 seconds out of their day and go onto the social media platforms and follow Avery Zweig. That's ZWEIG Zweig, Avery Zweig. And as I would assume is that on all of them, Avery?
Yes.
Yeah. It's Avery Zweig Golf on Facebook, and then Avery Zweig on Instagram and Twitter. Yeah, she's the head honcho now.
See, there is truly coming from me.
All right, so go follow her Instagram and follow Dad on Facebook. That's the way that sounds like.
Don't forget the charity.
And before we get out of here, that's why you got to have a good partner. That's why you're talking about. It's your support system, Avery.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, tell me more about the Win Green campaign before we get out of here.
Okay, so the abridged version, my school janitor when I was in second grade, his name was Jeff, and he was an incredible guy. There wasn't one kid on campus that he didn't know and said hi to on a daily basis. And he got diagnosed with lung cancer. And it was a really big thing that the school tried to sort of rally behind him with. And we had this folder, and they would send us home with flyers every once in a while. One of them was like for lice control, but that's just typical for elementary school.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other one was for Jeff, and they would do these fundraisers for him at restaurants, and they'd set up a table, but they'd also invite all of us to come in, and I think 10% of the proceeds went to helping him of whatever the people ordered that came from the school. And there was a really large line. It's called Shady's Burger Bar. And it was out the door and kind of around the building. And I just remember I told him, I was like, wow, he must be raising a lot of money. And I was 7 at the time. And he was like, well, it's probably not as much because it's only 10%. So it probably would have been maybe $500, which is helpful. And I was like, well, we got to do something. And so it was just kind of fate, honestly, that this guy named Rick had reached out to him, and he did charity of his own, and he wanted me to partner with that. And then we wound up doing our own thing totally. So I wound up raising $8,000 for Jeff that summer. And it was just
wow.
So talk about the sales. He had me go up to his friends. Totally put me on the spot.
Going in the lounge, the guys they just played, they're all sweaty, they're drinking and screwing around. And then I send Avery in there to go do her pitch. I'm like, all right, tell Avery, tell them who you're raising money and what you're doing. And then I added in the complexity of it. It was called Win Green because, okay, if you pledge $20 every time you win, you give her $20. And so, and they're like, well, how many tournaments did you play in the summer? I'm like 20. I mean, she's 7. She's playing against 12-year-olds. She's going to win 5 tournaments. And she won 16 of the 20. Actually, it was 20. She played 24 because she won 16 out of 24. And so some of them were literally pissed. They're like, dude, this is $400. I'm like, it's for cancer. Come on.
It's for tax deductible donation. There you go.
So they pledged it at the beginning of the summer, and then the end of the summer we came collecting, and that's anyway. So.
I was actually on a reality TV show when I was 7 too. So
golfers.
Whole other thing.
That's so cool.
If you go on a deep enough dive into YouTube, you can see a clip of me at a batting cage with him at 8 years old. It's so funny. I unearthed that clip recently and posted it on my private story, and I just put hashtag woman in sport, and it's just all of my friends are like, that is the funniest thing ever. But Yeah, anyway, so it's on the show and I gained quite a following from that. And then people saw what I was doing for Jeff. And then it sort of evolved into pediatric cancer. And then we had a little thing with St. Jude. And then we sort of focused on individual families after that, because St. Jude is an incredible organization and all of them are used for good. But we also wanted to help a family that was directly impacted by having a child with cancer. But it's multiple things. Like the child having cancer is awful in itself, but there's typically a parent or both parents have to completely put their lives on hold to take care of the child. So we wanted to kind of shine a light on that and help people in that way. And then it turned into a charity tournament, which we haven't been able to host the past couple of years because of COVID and then some other social things.
We had one after COVID, and then our guy from the radio station actually changed to a new station. So we may have it in the fall this year. I don't know, but
sounds like you need StacheCast to come and be there and broadcast that thing and get
that's
it out
right.
there.
There it is.
But for sure, let us know however we can help with that campaign. We'd love to be involved in any way, whether it means us we need to come and be physically present at an event, or whether we need, whatever we can do to spread the word. We're all in to help you support those folks and families that need it.
Well,
Thank you.
she's real humble about it, but she had a really good following. And so it went from just her. And then the next year, she was on Drive, Chip, and Putt. And actually Rich Lerner was wearing the band and starts talking about it. And so we had people coming out of the woodwork. And so we took 6 of her good friends that all reached out and capped it at 6 the first year. And the next year we had 50, and I had to cap it at 50 because they all wanted to get involved. Right. And then the coolest part is not only you got, she's affecting all these other kids, but, at least 6 or 7 of them all have come like little philanthropists in their own market and doing. Right. So it's like the 6 degrees of, it's like separation. It's like incredible how the coaching tree, Bill Parcells and all these people, so all these other people are doing their own thing and having their own impact. And, a lot of their parents are way wealthier than I am. And so they really can have an impact, so it's really cool. The things that they've been able to do, just that's by awesome, being nice little kids and then the parents, hey, that's pretty cool. And then they realize, hey, we can do this, and they do it in their market. It's because it is impactful when you can do it in your own market. They were raising money for a kid here usually, or in this region. Yep. So anyway, that was a really neat part of it. And like I said at the beginning, we never were doing it for recognition. It was really because she wanted to do something for her janitor, and it just kind of spun into this other thing. But the motto of that was I'll utilize my skills to benefit those in need. So so they're all good golfers, have a platform, and that was kind of what we taught them. So perfect.
And like you said, you
as if the story couldn't get any better. Yep.
You keep following that voice inside of you, and it's taking you places. Avery Zweig and her father Ivan, thank you guys so much for joining us. It has been a blessing. I've looked forward to this all week, and it's been a blast. Again, go follow Avery at Avery Zweig on Instagram. Excuse me. Thank you guys for joining us. As always, I know you got a lot of choices. And Alex has got his USC hat on as always. He's pulling for hard. Avery. He's recruiting hard for Avery to get out west. But we look forward to seeing how that goes in the recruitment process and all that. Enjoy it. Stay young. Be yourself. And stay in touch. Be a friend of the show. We look forward to touching base and keeping up with you and talking to you soon. And as always, we'll see you next time. Until then, be well, be good. StacheCast out.
I've been on some other shit, just lost my fucking brothership. Now I think it's time to beat myself back to the mothership. J-Rock is my co-pilot, that's the one that I hover with. Love the way we stubborn, like we rule our own government. We come through so thunderous, like everybody else is under us. I might go like a Chevy when the going gets heavy, but you know I ain't really on the up and up.